got a question for you. First of all, how you doing? Doing all right?
Yeah, I think so. Am I about to not be?
No, I just got a question for you.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Yeah.
So we'll have to agree on something first. Is Matt Rhule approaching this program as if it is an NFL style? He's building it with an NFL style in mind. He mentioned something like this the other night after the Northern Iowa game. It's like, basically, I don't get what you guys want from me. We're winning the game, right? I want to go back to some of the frustration from Saturday night a little bit. I think most of what we got back yesterday sort of followed this line, so I wanted to, throughout this week. Like, right there, do we agree that there was some frustration from Nebraska fans after Saturday night?
Generally, yes.
There was some. Obviously, there's still like the air of everything's going to be okay.
Not a big deal.
Not a huge deal. But there was some frustration. Maybe we need to be we need to be dominant. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you guys about why. Why? And my answer, if I had to guess, it's baked in here somewhere. It's not really, they're not really building this thing in the sense of how we are used to seeing college football programs being built. College football has always been a game about style points. It's history with the rankings. It's history with now the playoff. The thought has been that could be the difference in a ranking at the end, right? You win a game, like Curt Cignetti, right? Curt Cignetti is a classic college football guy. They won 77-3. They didn't have to win 77-3, but they did. They weren't like working on stuff. It was like, we want to score, and we want to score a whole bunch of points and want to get out of here. It's not just in the way they win, though. College football has also had some of the best innovators in sports. These fun, rule-bending offenses, pushing the boundaries of recruiting rules, pushing the boundaries of norms that you see just in football. It just looks... The NFL has always been known as a league that is a little bland. I don't know if that's the right word for it. It's certainly more bland than college football is.
Yes.
In terms of the football, right? Some of the greatest coaches of all time in college football were special because of those reasons. And now the current modern day version of it is like we have the sickos, right? These weird things happen in college football. These very odd things happen in college football that just don't happen in the NFL. Partly because the NFL isn't quite as big as college football is, but then there's the quality and there's the talent and stuff like that. But even those programs in college have to find a way to be successful, knowing that they're never going to have as much talent, or they're going to be as equal to the talent as the NFL teams are afforded the opportunity to be. This is not the way Nebraska is building their program. Nebraska is building it more in the NFL style. They want to be special in their consistency. They will take the things that make their program special and they will accentuate those, and they will pour them into their players. Matt Rhule is building an NFL style program. It's NFL in the way that their offense is. It's NFL in the way that their defense is. It's NFL in the way that their player development is. It's NFL in the sense that Matt Rhule is less a head coach and more a general manager.
So is Woj.
He not college basketball.
Oh.
Matt Rhule coaches his coaches, and then he gives those guys the responsibility, and he trusts them to do their jobs, even if they're really young. But everything that happens in the Nebraska program ultimately goes back to him, so it's under his watch. I think in the first year, one of the topics that came up on our show a lot was that he's kind of a micromanager, right? He has a very specific way he wants things. I think that is less the case now. Going to some practices this year in the preseason, how he would kind of walk around and just, observe.
Now there's trust. Now everybody knows.
Everybody knows what the standard is.
Yep.
Right. And so he's turned himself more into a general manager this season and a face for the program and a person who answers all of the questions, all of the big questions that need to be answered. I think he likes coaching football, but I think I think he's really found his niche in the big questions that get asked all the time. And so, are you okay with this? I guess is my question. Or do you care anymore? Have we lost the, like, it has to be a certain way? Because it is like, when he talks about, we're going to be good at defense, we're going to be fine at offense, that's the general sense of what we're going to be at Nebraska as long as I'm here, as long as Matt Rhule is here. Doesn't that take a little bit of the college-ness out of it? Right? It does. I mean,
Iowa definitely does.
Iowa's got a little bit of that going right now. And Iowa has been doing it for a long time, and they've won a lot of games, but their fans are not always happy with it.
The sport as a whole has had a lot of the college-y taken out of it.
Just in the sense of how they pay their players, or
paying players. It's a lot less folksy.
I think so too.
Than it used to.
And to be clear, I do think Rhule is going along with the trend here. I do think Rhule is going along with the trend here, but it's not there. It's not college football in the sense of, here's a bunch of style points and we're going to win with these fast and crazy offenses that we can use in college because the rules are a little bit different. Like, they want to play football the right way, quote unquote, the right way, in terms of how they believe football should be played, like, to its core. So when they talk about, Dylan Raiola, it's not, hey, we're going to manufacture these ways where he can get a whole bunch of completions and make his stats look good, and then people will want to play with him because he would have won the Heisman and this and this and this and this. Like, no, they want him to play quarterback, and they want him to be better prepared for the NFL, and they want all their players to be better prepared for the NFL. That's what lies at the core of this entire thing.
Get up, stay up, suffocate them.
Because that's what they experience in the NFL. In the day-to-day, that's what they experience in the NFL. You hear him say it all the time. We think you can come here and, if we think you're good enough to play here, then I probably think you're good enough to be able to play in the NFL one day. And we're going to take you through an experience that mimics that. We're going to make you do the things. Like, we're going to treat you like an adult.
You want to go to the league?
It's not necessarily and I do think that is a difference from how he built it at Baylor too, and how he built it at Temple too.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think his experience people ask him all the time, like, how'd your experience in the NFL change you, and whatever it might be. Like, I think, he's come back from that and has now said, look, this is what kids want to do, and we're going to treat them that way, and we're going to build it that way. Now, they're fortunate to get it started this way because they have a quarterback who he is at this moment, and that obviously helps you out in your process. But it's not like, Nebraska was so weird. Like, Nebraska is forever etched in the history of college football, yes, because they won 5 national championships, but also because of their innovation. Right? They were first to the table in terms of weight training. The innovative kind of pre-spread triple option, like, offense. That is etched in the history of the sport. Nebraska's not going to do anything real innovative here. They're not. They're not going to be. They're going to try to be the best they possibly can at doing things that are already happening in the NFL. And it's some of the best college programs across the country. I find that interesting. Have you set a boundary for yourself? I don't think so. Have you set a ceiling for yourself? I don't think so. You look at what Georgia does, it looks a lot like this.
It's going to play well to a certain segment of recruits too, who just, hey, the NFL, that's all I want. I want a path to the NFL. Well, we can give that to you. We play that style here.
Venmo Chris,
I've been an NFL coach.
Venmo Chris writes in, he says, isn't that what Saban did? Isn't that what Harbaugh did? I just think it's being a good coach. Harbaugh is a good example of that probably. And I bet Saban is probably too, actually, with both of their brief histories in the NFL before they took they took jobs where they won national championships at Alabama and Michigan, of course. Like, I don't think it's just what good coaches do, though. I do think it is unique. Like, I thought we'd always, by the way, I don't think this is a bad thing at all. I just wanted to lay it out here this way. I think Nebraskans have always viewed this thing as like, this is unique and this is different. And this is kind of the way we have to do it. And they're not doing it that way.
It's not what Lane Kiffin does. It's not what Josh Heupel does. It's not
even close.
Yeah,
not even close. And those guys can win a lot of games. It's about the college football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aaron says Georgia does this also. Jason and Pender says, as an Iowa fan, I wouldn't say we're unhappy. I think we just want some growth and to turn those 10-win seasons into something. Sure.
Substance behind it.
Norm says, I feel like this Nebraska team could win a lot of games, about 35-17 against bad teams and teams that are pretty good. I think the game and the score will look about the same. Yeah, I'm not just talking about winning close, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not just talking about winning close. I use that as an example.
Well, no, that's where the origin of the conversation came, was from the Northern Iowa game, where it was kind of ho hum.
Yeah.
Right.
Joel writes in on the Equitable Bank inbox.
Hi, Joel.
Yes.
Hi, Joel.
He says, hey guys, I am fine with it. In 2010, Nebraska beat Washington 56-21 and K-State 48-13, but only beat SDSU 17-3 in between. In 2012, they beat Idaho State 73-7, and 2 weeks later got beat by Ohio State 63-38. Both teams won 10 games, so how many points you score against FCS isn't a huge indicator of how your season will go. I'm sorry if some people can't handle watching Nebraska not win hard enough, but it's a whole lot better than almost winning and going 3-9. Rhule is coaching to a vision. As long as it's working, I'm not going to move the goalposts.
I think that's about where I'm at. Yep.
But I do think it's a good point mentioning those FCS scores and then how those seasons turned out. I do think they are building a model here that is built to play with the Ohio States of the world, right? It's harder to win those games when you are reliant on your fun and cool offense. I think I think we're, and to whoever's point earlier who said, like, I think this is just good coaching and I think this is the way everybody's doing it now. I think as we go forward, you're seeing less and less of an emphasis on these cool and innovative offensive coordinators who just bring their fancy offensive tricks to the table. I'm oversimplifying, I know, but and more of the Matt Rhule style, more of the people who are elite in player development and, maybe can get an edge in analytics or training and strength and develop, like whatever, like all of the other stuff inside of the program rather than the things that you just see on Saturdays. That led to a long stretch of teams who would pull these crazy upsets. But I do think if you're trying to build it like really fundamentally, like the way Nebraska seems to be doing it right now, this is probably the way to do it. It's in your players. And then hopefully you can get, a couple guys, a couple real dudes on top of it. And they feel like they have won at the moment. That's for sure.
The more dudes, the better.
Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, Joshua, at the start of this conversation, I was just bringing up the Northern Iowa game. I do think there was some frustration at the end of last week, but you have to, they are definitely playing to their own standard at this point. And no, there's not going to be these out of control college-y 80-3 scores. It's just not that's not how
they're
it's
not going to
be.
South Alabama somebody and drop 87.
Yeah, it's just not how it's going to be.